This is Power Source, a podcast by the Citizens Utility Board, where we track down the answers to your utility questions. I'm your host, Hannah Finnerty. There is enough solar energy capacity in the United States to power 14.5 million homes, and this number is expected to double by 2025. Illinois is no outlier to this trend. Our state has seen a dramatic expansion of solar installations since the passage of the Future Energy Jobs Act, or FEJA, in 2016. Not only is the renewable resource becoming more common, but solar is also becoming more affordable. According to the Solar Energy Industries Foundation, the costs of going solar have fallen 70% since 2010. This is excellent news for Illinois consumers because dirty, expensive fossil fuels are on the way out, and renewable and affordable energy is on its way in. As more and more opportunities to go solar pop up in the energy market, our CUB staffers are answering countless questions about making the switch to solar. For this episode of Power Source, we're focusing on one of the most frequently asked questions when it comes to the renewable resource. People want to know why now is the best time to make the move and go solar. To hunt down some answers, I spoke to CUB's resident expert on all things solar.
Hello, everybody. My name is Christina Uzzo, and I'm on the outreach team at the Citizens Utility Board. I've been at CUB for almost 2 years, and I do a lot of work on consumer education surrounding how to go solar and staying up to date on all the different solar incentives.
So, Christina, is solar actually an option in Illinois? Is it viable for Illinois consumers to go solar?
Yeah, that's a great question that we definitely get a lot because people are concerned about the long winters. But solar is definitely viable in Illinois because what you're looking at is whether or not you can produce enough solar energy over the course of the entire year to offset your annual energy needs. And because we're able to produce a lot of solar energy during the spring and summer and even into the fall, we're able to overcome the winter months that are not as good for solar production.
So it sounds like consumers can definitely go solar in Illinois. If people do want to make that jump, what options do consumers in Illinois have to go solar?
Yeah, so if people want to go solar in Illinois, there's 3 different options for if you wanted to install the solar on your own property. The first option is to purchase the panels outright. The second option is to lease a solar system. And the third option is what's called a power purchase agreement, or a PPA. It's really similar to the second option of leasing, but instead of paying a set monthly amount for your solar panels, you're paying a rate per kilowatt hour generated by the solar panels. So your payments under a power purchase agreement will vary from month to month as the solar output varies.
Gotcha. And if you live in a particularly shady area, like if your roof or your property is shady, or you live in an apartment, or you're renting, and you can't install solar panels, are there options for those people to go solar also?
Yes, there definitely are. Illinois passed a piece of legislation in 2016 that created a lot of different solar incentives. And in that legislation, we created a program called Community Solar, which is a program where people who can't install solar on their own property for whatever reason, they can partake in community solar. So the way that community solar works is that there are these large projects that are referred to as solar gardens that are being built across the state of Illinois. And you can subscribe to any project that's built within your utility territory. And so you can think of your subscription size as a set number of panels, 10 panels, 15 panels. It depends on how much energy your household uses. And then every month, the community solar company will keep track of how much energy your subscription produced, and you'll get credited on your electric bill based off of the number of kilowatt hours produced by your subscription. So that credit is going to reduce your electric bill. And then you'll pay a second bill to the owner of the community solar project. But because these projects are so heavily incentivized by the state of Illinois, all of the offers that we've seen so far are offering savings. So even though you're paying two bills, you'll be paying overall less than you would have been paying if you had not switched to community solar. And if you want to learn more about community solar, CUB just launched a really great resource called Solar in the Community. It has a lot of good resources on what community solar is, the different offers that are available, where you can learn more about the program, and you can visit that resource by visiting www.solarinthecommunity.com.
So, Christina, you mentioned that there are a lot of incentives right now for going solar. In particular, you mentioned it with this community solar. What are these incentives for going solar right now?
Yeah, so there are three main incentives available for people who purchase their own solar energy system. The first credit is from the federal government, and it's a federal tax credit. When you file your taxes for the year that you installed solar, you're able to deduct a percentage of the cost of the solar installation from what you owe in taxes that year. Currently, this credit is valued at 26% of the cost of going solar. So that means that you are able to deduct 26% of the total cost of your installation from what you owe in taxes that year. This credit is unfortunately on its way out. So the value of that credit is declining over time. It was at 30% for a long time, and 2020 is the first year that we have seen it step down. Next year, it'll step down an additional 4% to 22%, and then after that, it's going to be gone completely. So if you want to be able to take advantage of this federal tax credit, you're going to need to go solar either this year or next year. The second credit is from the state of Illinois, and it's referred to as SRECs. SRECs stands for Solar Renewable Energy Credit. And so the way that SRECs work is that your solar installer will estimate how much renewable energy you're going to produce over the next 15 years. And once they have that number, they'll file that with the state of Illinois. And the amount of energy that you're going to produce over the next 15 years determines the size of the credit that you'll get. In general, the solar renewable energy credits can cover up to 35 to 40% of the cost of going solar. But like I said, it'll vary based on the specifics of your project, but it is a very significant credit. This credit is also on its way out. This credit is a first come, first serve credit. So there's a certain amount of money available for this. Once it gets used up, it'll be used up. And it's really hard to tell exactly when we'll no longer be able to take advantage of it. But most estimates are that this credit will no longer be available by the end of the year. So if you're thinking of going solar, the combination of the federal tax credit and this credit going away means that really this year is the best time to go solar if you can afford it. And then the third and final credit that I mentioned is the credit that's ongoing over time with your utility company. That credit is referred to as net metering. The way that this credit works is that whenever you have excess solar energy, more than what you need in your household right now, that extra energy will be sent back to the power grid. And in Illinois, we have a requirement that the utility company credits you at the same rate that you are buying electricity from them. So for every kilowatt hour that you send back to the grid, you're going to get credited on your bill basically as if you had never used that kilowatt hour. So this is really important because a lot of times the time of day in which we're using the most energy does not match up with the time of day in which your solar system is producing the most energy. Solar systems produce the most during the middle of the day, and typically households use the most energy in the evening. So it's really important that we're able to get credited for that excess energy that's sent back to the grid. Otherwise, it would just extend your payback time significantly for going solar.
So you said that these credits are not going to be around forever, but I've also heard that the cost of solar is coming down significantly. So is it better to wait, or is it better to go solar now?
It's definitely better to go solar now while you can still take advantage of those two credits, because those credits together can cover up to 60% of the cost of going solar, which is really a significant portion of the cost. And what we're seeing is a typical payback time for customers who go solar in Illinois of about 6 to 10 years. So within 10 years, you will have already earned back all of your initial investment, and then you still have 15 plus years left on the warranty, and even longer than that left of really high solar production. And so it's best to act on them now. Additionally, the cost of solar has already come down significantly, and there's only so much farther it can come down because there's certain costs that are fixed, like the cost of the labor, the cost of the electrical work. So even if there's slight decreases in the cost of panels over the next couple of years, it's not going to significantly decrease the entire project cost. And a lot of the decreases in the cost of solar have already happened. The price of solar panels has declined 70% since 2010, according to the Solar Energy Industries Association. So we've already seen a lot of the breakthroughs and a lot of the price breaks happen. And there's only so much more efficient that panels can get. So you're much better off being able to take advantage of these incentives and going solar now than you are, waiting 5 years, maybe saving a little bit of money on the install, but then these incentives are gone.
Right. So it sounds like it is much better to go solar now than it is to wait around and do it in a couple of years from now, mostly because of those incentives. Do you get those same incentives if you are leasing your panels, or is it just for owners?
You will only directly see those incentives if you own the system, because if you lease the system or you have a power purchase agreement, you are technically not the owner of the system. The ownership is maintained by whichever solar company you go with. And so since they are the owner of the system, they get to claim the federal tax credit and the state credit on your behalf. For a lot of people, leasing might be the best option, but we're unfortunately seeing a lot of solar companies push their leases and try to get people to sign a contract really quickly. And a lot of times they won't show people the math and the payback time for if they were to own the system. And so people end up signing leases because they still think that it's too expensive to purchase it, and they end up not saving anywhere near as much money as they could have if they owned it. So CUB just recommends that you always understand all of your options. And if you're dealing with a company that doesn't really want to show you the math and the payback time for ownership, find another company and get a quote from another company.
So it sounds like it's really important before you make a move that you understand all of your options and you know what kind of contract you're signing. Where can people go to find reliable information about going solar?
We have a lot of great solar resources on the CUB website. If you go to www.citizensutilityboard.org and then go to the fact sheet section, you can find all of our clean energy fact sheets. On that section of the website, we have a guide to rooftop solar, we have our introduction to community solar, and we have a link to sign up for the community solar newsletter, where we'll let people know whenever we hear updates about the community solar market. If you're interested in community solar, you can also visit our Solar in the Community webpage, which is www.solarinthecommunity.com.
Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Power Source. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about switching to solar. A huge thanks to Christina for answering our consumer questions, and like she said, if you want more information about going solar, visit the Clean Energy page on CUB's website, www.citizensutilityboard.org. If you have a question you'd like answered on a future episode of Power Source, send me an email at hfinnerty@citizensutilityboard.org with your question. If you have a specific inquiry about your utility bill or service, please call CUB's Consumer Help Hotline at 1-800-669-5556. The line is open from 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. This episode of Power Source was written and produced by me, your host, Hannah Finnerty. If you liked this episode, please hit subscribe in your podcast app and visit www.citizensutilityboard.org for more information about utilities in Illinois.